Hey guys, welcome back. We have a bit of a throwback today. This is the Air Arms SM100. Most of you guys have never heard of this rifle. It is a kind of an early field target rifle from Air Arms. This was also in the series. The series goes like this: the SM100, the XM, the TM, and then the NJR, which was kind of the crown jewel of the Air Arms line at the time. This particular model probably came out somewhere between 1994 and 1996, somewhere in there. Not too specific, obviously. I was like 5 years old at the time. So obviously a PCP. This one's a little bit upgraded. It has the Olympic trigger, which was an option back then for this gun, as well as a Corrick regulator made by Joe Corrick. Great regulator. The gun's set up for 12 foot-pounds. It can also be set up as high as like 18 or 19 for field target work here in the US. Obviously, if you're in the UK or another European country or South Africa or something like that, you're going to be shooting this at 12 foot-pounds. But again, like I said, this is at 12 foot-pounds and it performs flawlessly. So today we're going to be taking a look at just how good a almost 20-year-old rifle can perform.
Taking a look at the stock now, as you can see, it's a little beat up, has a few nicks in it, and the first modification that was actually made to it, not by myself but by one of the previous owners, was this thumb rest. It's actually quite comfortable, so I'm not too upset that somebody did that to such a gorgeous looking stock, in my opinion. But as you can see, swan neck bolt handle, really easy to get your finger on there and cock the gun. A good bit of cocking force actually. For a 12 foot-pound gun, but that's okay. You can see the Olympic trigger. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. Brief view of the Hawk Sidewinder 8-32 by 56 there. As you can see, pretty long profile here. Long air tube, which has a Parker fitting on the end. The connector for that's not too hard to come by. And as we take a look at the underside of the gun, you see a lot of holes in the bottom of the stock. I assume that was from somebody trying to fit a hamster or knee rest to the bottom of the gun. Completely normal. The Olympic trigger, as you can see, a lot of adjustment there. Very easy to adjust to you. Certainly not the world's greatest trigger in terms of feel, but it gets the job done, and there you see the SM100 logo. Now we'll get into cocking the gun. As you can see, very easy. Just pull the bolt handle to the side and back, and you're cocked. And as you can see, load the pellet straight into the breech, and it does take a little bit of force to push that pellet in, and you are good to go. Simply find your target. Very light trigger. The Olympic trigger breaks at about 3 ounces on this particular gun. You can obviously set it for higher, probably a little bit lower as well. But for me, 3 ounces is right about where I like it, and taking the over travel out or making it longer is very easy. Like I said, adjusting this trigger is actually quite simple. Most folks can do it with little or no practice at all. So very, very easy and a great trigger. Now moving on to some 5-shot groups at 25 yards. First up is the Crosman Premier Lights in the box, 7.9 grains. Half-inch group, not very good. The JSB 8.4s perform much better at 25 yards, producing this very tiny 0.23-inch group, and definitely the pellet to go with. Let's take a look at some chronograph numbers now. As you can see, this gun is super consistent with just a 12 foot per second spread. Very consistent shot to shot as well, 4.1 feet per second standard deviation, and it's making about 10.5 foot-pounds. Now, 10.5 foot-pounds is not where I would prefer it, but that's okay. We can always amp the power up just a tad, and that's probably what I'm going to do. But 60 shots showed no sign of slowing down. Obviously, it would be kind of a waste of pellets to chronograph it past that, so I figured I'd save my pellets, and that was good enough.
The SM100 from Air Arms, really solid rifle. I would definitely suggest, if you can find one of the 100 series rifles and you're looking to get into field target, they're great guns. You know, this particular one, I think you guys have seen, it's super efficient, has a great trigger, and it's pretty darn accurate. You know, I have no complaints so far from me in that regard. I got this one for right around $600, and then obviously the scope is another expense in and of itself. But you know, if you didn't want to go with something like a Marauder, you know, some of the other entry-level PCP guns, you can always find some of these older used rifles that are still shooting just as good as they did when they came out of the factory. You know, you can find them for really solid prices out there on the classifieds and used, and there's nothing wrong with getting a used rifle, especially for field target, because oftentimes used means proven, which means somewhat successful. So, you know, never a bad idea. You know, outside of the stock being a little beat up, I'm certainly not unhappy with this rifle overall. You know, like I said, I really like it. It's definitely growing to be one of my favorite shooters, whether I'm actually shooting field target or just going out and plinking or shooting paper. I didn't mention the scope is a Hawk 8-32 by 56 Sidewinder. Really solid scope for the money. There are some better options, maybe in like the Bushnell Elite series. I would go for one of those over this, or if you can get a you know, a used BSA or a used Nico for, you know, in that $500-$600 range, I'd probably jump on the more magnification bandwagon, going for a 10-50 or a 10-40 or something like that over the 8-32. But you know, this scope's certainly not bad for the money. The iCup here, scope maximizer, I've heard a lot of different phrases for them. This is from, I believe, D&G Designs, something like that. I had to purchase them from Blackpool Air Guns in the UK. They were kind enough to send me a few, and shipping rates weren't actually too bad, so I was pretty happy with that. And that about wraps it up for the Air Arms SM100, guys. I really appreciate you for joining me, and in the future, look for more field target videos. We're going to be getting into some different field target rifles, as well as kind of showcasing what field target's all about, as it's quickly becoming a passion of mine, and I think pretty much everybody who shoots air guns, you guys should definitely check it out. It's a great experience, a lot of great people out there, and it'll improve your shooting a ton. So until next time, I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.